I was going to ask if anyone had the Sigma for some 150 to 600 lens.
Yes.
I own one.
I have one.
You have one, and how are they? I was going to ask him.
Terrific.
Terrific. Okay. I was going to order that with the camera, but it was 300 above what my allotment.
As a piece of advice, when I got my lens, I sent it off to Sigma along with my camera to have them calibrate the two of them so they work well together. And Sigma did that at no cost.
Oh, really? The Sigma that I'm seeing at B&H and Amazon has a dock. Isn't that for calibrating?
Yes, it is. But if somebody else will do it for me for free professionally, I wouldn't bother with it myself.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Well, they do the older lenses at the place in New York.
B&H.
No, I'm not talking about B&H, the Sigma.
Oh, okay.
So if the docking thing doesn't work with older lenses, so you need to, you can send it to the place in New York and then they'll do it for free.
Right. Okay.
Whoa, that's weird.
So anyone been to Punta Cana in the Dominion Republic? Nope. Okay.
Okay, Jane, you might as well get started since we got a quick meeting. Not a quick meeting, but.
Do we have any new people tonight? You see any new people, Jeff?
Nope.
Okay. News. A reminder that the Wacko competition, you still have time to enter. Closing date is April 12th at midnight. The uploader goes down, so there's nobody can give you any grace period. You do have to sign up on the Wacko website, register ahead of time. So if you're still on the fence about doing that, you should probably consider at least signing up right away here. We need a May's President's Challenge. So do we have any thoughts from anyone? Come on now, we got to have some ideas of what we could have that we haven't done.
How about flowers?
Will we have some flowers here in April enough to
I'm
generate?
thinking of May. I'm thinking of May.
Yeah, well, it'll be May when we have our next meeting.
Okay. Forget it then, Jane.
I mean, I have a few flowers out. I mean, I've got some daffodils and some wildflowers.
Yeah, I've been out shooting.
Buds and flowers.
Can it be flowers inside also?
Sure, why not? I'm always open.
Okay.
All right, so let's do flowers for May. And I will need these, like, our next meeting's May 4th, so I need them, say, by May 1st. But what do you need them by, Ellen? What's the time frame for the newsletter? And your microphone, you got to unmute yourself.
I will do that right now. Let's see, the newsletter is the 4th. I get it out on the 20. Oh my Lord, April's going fast too. Let's say the 22nd or 23rd of April.
Okay, so we want to send Ellen a few so that they can be published in our newsletter. Get those to her by the 22nd, 23rd at the absolute latest. And then we need some May show and tell people. We need 2 people for May show and tell. So who hasn't had a chance yet and would like to go? How about you, Jim? I don't see that your video's on, but I'm assuming you're there.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. Let me see if I can get my camera up here. But yes, I think I did that a while back, not too long ago. So
Oh,
it's,
did you? Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I hate to dominate that, but I think I was about 4 or 5 months ago.
How about you, Pat?
Mhm.
He opened up his mouth, but his mic is off, so we can't hear him.
Sorry. All right, I guess I'll I'll see what I can dig up. I don't have a lot of new stuff.
Well, show your favorites.
All right, is that for May?
That's for me.
Okay.
How about you? How about,
I can do something. I can share some of my experiences down here in Florida, learning a different way of photography because the landscape is definitely different.
okay, well, that's good. All right, Mark. So we've got Mark and Pat for May. So tonight's lineup is the President's Challenge, Show and Tell with Don and Priscilla. And then we're going to go to our Luminar webinar. Has everybody signed up for that?
Yes.
Okay. And what time does that exactly start, Jeff?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Yep, 8 o'clock.
So I will attempt again to share my screen for the President's Challenge. So this month was anything older than 50 years. So I'll give this a go. And here it is. So does everybody see that?
Yes.
We've got a
Yep.
selfie by Don Gorzak. What year was this, Don?
What's that?
What year was this?
Probably 66, 67. On my first movie camera, an Aeroflex, doing documentary films and corporate image films and traveling around the country pretty much.
So when you
And I
say
had hair and it was dark.
when you say you were traveling around the country, you're talking about all the United States, or
Yes.
that must have been fun.
Yeah, I was working for a Los Angeles production company that had a weekly show and traveling around the Midwest, Virginia, Washington State. So that's sort of what I was doing in my younger days.
How heavy was that apparatus?
With the battery pack, probably about 20 pounds or so. A lot lighter than my sound camera that I had when I worked at the television station. That was about 35, 40 pounds, which got kind of heavy when we marched from the north side of Milwaukee down to the south side and got stoned on the 16th Street Viaduct. So this was a nice little camera.
Okay. And this one's mine. This is my husband's grandmother's crystal chandelier, which had been stuck in my mother-in-law's basement for the last 25 years, and we restored it and hung it. And then we have this from Jessie Buchholz. She must still have this old hair dryer. She's not here tonight. She and Tom went up north. And I think that this is a miniature plastic horse. And then Ken and Lou sent this one in. Do you want to say anything about this photo, Ken?
Well, that was one of my favorite toys when I was just a little kid. The road grader, not the doll. And I asked Lou, I said, "You got any old toys you want to show?" And she brought out this old doll that I guess she had when she was young. And I decided, well, we still had snow on the ground, so I made a little scene where as if the doll was plowing the snow with the road grader.
So you actually went out and composed this and set
Yeah.
this all up.
That's correct.
Well, I think it's a wonderful little doll.
Yeah.
Well, that road grader I know is worth money. I see a few of them on eBay for, I think some of them are like close to $100 even.
Wow.
That was, that's been kept in pretty good shape.
And then you sent this one too. What kind of car is that?
That's a Model T. That was Henry Ford's original. The Model A came later, and a neighbor of mine has that car.
Yeah, it's a nice old car.
They gave me a ride in it, and it was hardly made it up a big hill, but that thing was really chugging, and it was an enjoyable ride anyway.
And this one's Patty Grinley's. Just great colors there.
Yeah, that's an old caboose. And I can't remember what city that was in, but the caboose was just sitting in the downtown area on a little section of track on display. And this was up in Minnesota when we went on the trip for the waterfalls.
Some cute little bumper stickers there.
Yeah, yeah. I had to take the picture. It was really funny. You don't see Pintos very often.
No.
And this is a piece of Glenn's. Okay, Glenn was a mechanical engineer, and he created his own wood splitter using a snowmobile engine. So this was one section of that. I thought it looked like a little face, so I took that photo. And those are the nuts from the tires. They went flat, so they had to be replaced. And we were waiting for the tires to arrive, and the nuts were just sitting there, and I took their picture.
Then we got Roger.
Yes, this is up along Lake Michigan. There's a preserve up there called the Amsterdam Dunes. And this older manure spreader was out there in the field, rusting away. And there's an abandoned farm there, and this is looking up the silo.
Tony, this is yours.
Yes, it is. It was built in October 1963. I bought it in January 1964, pre-Beatles. And it's custom made. Anyone want to guess how much that's worth?
I want to know if you can play it.
Oh, that's one of 7 guitars. Two informal estimates have put it at between $8,000 and $10,000.
Ooh.
So no one touches it.
Well, it's very pretty.
That's the it's stereo, mother of pearl inlays on a rosewood neck. It's just, and it's all original stuff in that. And that's the case. It's standing up on end.
That's a Rickenbacker, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're beautiful sounding guitars.
Yeah. One of the things that's different is generally, I have never seen another Rickenbacker that has the champagne sparkle pick guard. Usually they're white.
Nice.
Well, you have to play for us sometime.
Yeah.
Most time people want me to play Far, Far Away. I don't know that song. Oh, we're not talking about the song.
Well, that is all the photos we got for this tonight. But I was very pleased that we got such a good turnout for what I thought would maybe be a hard choice. So I appreciate that. So show and tell. It's Don and Priscilla. Don, do you want to go first, or Priscilla, do you want to go first?
We'll have Priscilla go first. Don's is a little trickier unless he's going to do it right from his machine.
Well, I'll have to get my photos. Oh, let's see. What can I have to?
Okay.
In the wrong area. I'm having trouble getting into my photo area. I think I must need some help. I have my
Okay.
photos all in my picture folders.
Right.
Go to the file folder down in the middle.
Oh, I probably should have put them in there. That would have been good. Oh, let's see.
Yeah, there you go.
You should have pictures. There's your picture folder is right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I wonder if they're not behind the.
What did you call it?
Oh, it's right up here in the right-hand corner, right next on the top
Here
upper
it
right-hand
is.
corner.
I got it.
There you go.
Okay. So I'll start out by clicking on the first one. Well, when I first joined, this is a mixture of a bunch of different things that I like to photograph. And one of the first things I did when I joined Menomonee Falls Camera Club, that evening you had a bunch of flowers, and somebody had brought pieces of mylar. And so this photo is a photo of the mylar. I like to shoot abstract things. So this was what I'm sharing with you here. Then I also like abstracts. And this is at the art museum up at the inside at the art museum.
Say, Priscilla,
Yes.
just move your arrow in the middle on the right-hand side and you'll see an arrow come up. Just keep moving to the right. More to the right. There, see that arrow there?
Oh, yeah.
That'll move it to the next picture.
Oh.
Up higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
See it now?
Yeah. This looks better, right?
Well, no, I'm saying that arrow will take you to the next picture.
Yeah, right. I get it. Okay. Well, this was taken on a trip down to Chicago with Out of Chicago. On a Saturday, we did that. And we walked along the river tour. So I thought this was kind of an interesting photo. And this is one of my favorite buildings down in Chicago. It's called the Aqua Building. The designer is a woman, and I think she just recently designed another building that's just gone up. She named it the Aqua Building because all of these particles reminded her of the waves of Lake Michigan. Her name is Jeannie Gang. This is the Baha'i Temple in Illinois. You can tell that I like architecture. This is a building that Frank Lloyd Wright designed. It's here in Milwaukee. It's the Annunciation Greek Church. And from there, we're going to go to a couple tabletop images. This is an old brass bell and a pitcher. Another tabletop.
What did you use for your background there, Priscilla?
I probably used a piece of a rolled up piece of paper.
Okay.
Sometimes I would use scrapbooking paper, have one for the back and then one to set the object on. Those are little roses that were out in our yard. And you can tell I like flowers too. I belong to a Ikebana group. That's Japanese flower arranging. And sometimes it kind of reminds me a little bit of photography because it has a similarity. Ikebana has just real strict rules like photography does with the rule of thirds and all the other rules that we have. Well, once you learn the rules, then you can break the rules. Let's see. And that's another Ikebana arrangement that was with flowers, fruits, and vegetables. And besides flowers, I do like other things besides buildings and flowers. I like to go to car shows, and I think I find it interesting to hone in on some of the details and the colors of the cars. I think this was taken at West Bend, or maybe, but out in that area. It might have been a different town, but a couple years ago. And I also like to go to the zoo. So I think that's the end of my presentation.
Well, it was very good and a nice grouping of your work.
Okay.
I like particular the flower arrangement, the arrangements that she had, and the photography of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes I collect like little vases and things like that. And some of them are old, some of them are kind of antique-y. And it's just fun to find the flowers that match with the containers. So that's all I have for you tonight. But thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
So
Okay,
now-
Don, are you gonna try to do it from your machine or
Will I try to? Or
do you want
If-
me to try from
if
mine?
you have the disc all up and ready, there's a audio track on it. It's down in
Okay.
level a little bit.
Yeah,
What you mean?
okay. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, let's go to this way.
Hi, this is Don Gorzik. This is my little presentation for the month of April 2000.
Can everybody hear that all right?
I
A
have
little low.
been involved with
Little low.
trying to get a little different look to my images, and I've found that image
How's that?
modifiers
Better.
Better.
can help me do that. The fisheye, infrared photography, a kaleidoscopic image, and fisheyes were the first image modifiers that I got involved with in my early days of photography back in the mid-60s. I had purchased a Nikon F after I started art school, and one of my acquaintances had purchased the Nikon fisheye, the 8mm f8. It was a special lens that required the mirror to be locked up in the camera body, and then you could frame your image and see what you're going to capture through an auxiliary rangefinder. There is a 1,500 lenses manufactured in the mid-60s. I spent a summer taking tests with this particular camera combination. I had captured this particular image at the Mitchell Park Domes, set my camera with the lens on the ground, set the self-timer to capture the image, and then step back for the fisheye to capture the entire dome of the year or so later, after the 8mm was discontinued, Nikon introduced a special through the lens fisheye lens. They made a little bit less than 200 of them. It had a degree of view of 220 degrees, and you could see behind the lens when you're capturing your images. The lens tended to be a little bit pricey at $160,000. After that lens was discontinued, after 2,200 of them were made, Nikon created the circular image through the lens fisheye. It was started being made in 1970 and then discontinued in 1997 after about 10,000 were produced. Nikon at that time felt that there was enough lenses out there and likely no more folks would want to. Once digital started taking over, most of the manufacturers only had the smaller sensor size. Nikon introduced a 10.5mm fisheye lens in about 2003. The image did not produce a circular image, and you could view your image through the camera body. Price of this lens was about $750. I used to have this in the bottom of my bag, and if I found a situation that I might be able to capture a fisheye-like image, I would try to capture it. This pole vaulter was an early sports photo that I took with a D200 and a 10.5mm lens. In 2017, Nikon introduced the 8mm to 15mm zoom lens. It covered the full sensor size of the FX cameras, and at 8mm, it produced a circular fisheye image. Cost of this lens was about $1,250. When I saw this lens announced, I ended up trying to be one of the first in line to get it because I was always captivated by the circular fisheye image. And this is a comparison of the lens with the 8mm on the left and the 15mm on the right. I also learned about the nano coating that Nikon had introduced in many of their lenses, which reduced in-lens reflections. So you have minimal amount of reflection in the lens and a much clearer, sharper image. This past spring, I have used the fisheye and captured these daffodils in my front yard for the presentation coming up in June or July with our camera club presentation. This was a 8mm shot on a D850, the full sensor size. I've always been involved and interested in infrared photography, dating back to my film days when I shot aerial infrared film and found that it was enjoyable, but it was very precise in that the film allowed you only 1/4 of an f-stop to get a good exposure on your film. I had a D800 converted, and I selected one of their filters to go inside the camera, and it was a super color infrared. It was about the middle of the infrared spectrum, and I found that it was much easier to photograph with this compared to an older Olympus camera that I had converted and shot infrared images with an external filter on the lens. That Olympus camera required an exposure of maybe about 20 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on the brightness of the location. The LifePix images you can shoot with no external filter. You can view your framing and focusing through the lens. It's more consistent exposure, and there is no need to up the ISO on the camera exposure. Here's a couple of images that I captured around the area, and I had this old train station at Falls Historic Village shot with infrared. Another one down at Water Tower Park on Lake Drive near St. Mary Hospital. In Lake Park, I had captured this statue. Another interesting thing that I found was trying to capture kaleidoscopic images. Built my own little kaleidoscope to photograph through. The toy kaleidoscopes that are available on the market only use 2 mirrors, and you can just get your image down to the front of the tube where rotating pieces and chips of translucent material can create different images. But I want to get something a little bit more of the real world through my kaleidoscopic image device. to make it, I had to get 3 front reflective mirrors, and then I taped them together along the long edge, and then I could photograph through the tube shape of the mirrors. And here's a couple of photographs that I did right in the camera. I guess you can do this with Photoshop, but I really enjoyed the possibility of trying to get overlapping images within the sensor frame. Panorama photography. I've been interested in this since the mid-90s. I had worked on a computer science degree, master's degree at Cardinal Stritch, and the World Wide Web was maybe a year old, a year and a half old, and some folks were starting to do virtual reality where they could put a image and allow on their website and allow the viewer to pan around and capture a full 360-degree image of the scene. The software that I was using, I could either stitch the 2 ends of the image together to create the virtual reality panorama, or I could leave them unstitched at the far ends and give a very wide 360-degree field of view for my photographs. I started out with building my own panorama head when I got a little Coolpix 5000, and I produced panoramas with that device. Only problem at the time was that the Coolpix camera took about 8 to 10 seconds for the image to write to the card. I could not shoot anything that had any motion in it or people in it because it just took too long when you had to photograph 12 or 14 images and have them all in a line and paste it and stitch together. I came across the used Manfrotto panorama head that I could define how many images I would take in a 360-degree twist to the head, and I found that 12 images at 30-degree increments was my best way of capturing the images, and this gave me the ability to paste the images together. Now, a number of folks in the club here have talked about how exciting it is to do panoramas with 3 images, maybe going as far as 4 images stitched together to give a wide field of view. In my mind, I think that kind of panorama is for systems. I had a chance to photograph a graduation in a field house. I had used my same 30-degree increments, but instead of just limiting it to 12 images, I shot 14 images stitched together, and this allowed me, if I did not put them together, stitch them together at the end of the pan, I could get a 420-degree field of view. The bright area on the right and left is the same garage door, overhead garage door. So that is a more serious panorama. So those are some of the devices that I have used over the years, and I have others that I won't be talking about during this presentation. But again, thank you for allowing me to show you some of my images that have been modified.
Well, you're very creative, Don. And you really show what you could do if you're talented.
Thank you. I have heard that the 220-degree field of view through the lens fisheye, you can find them on eBay and make a bid. Like I said, in the 60s, the lens cost $160,000. Today, you can make a bid anywhere between $50,000 and $120,000 and get one of the 200 lenses that were manufactured. I haven't looked for it, but I'm told every couple of months you can find one. So get out there if you're shooting Nikon.
I think that's definitely going to be out of my price range.
Okay. Okay for you then. Moving on to Jeff, I think.
Yeah. Nope, we don't have time to do me, so we'll do mine next month. Because mine's 15 minutes and we only have 15 minutes before the next, the Luminar. So is there anything we want to talk about for a couple minutes?
I'd like to bring up the field trip for May. Back when we did our planning, we talked about doing Shady Lane. That wasn't listed in the newsletter for May. So I guess question is, are we interested in doing that? I did stop by Shady Lane today, talked with Heidi, and we're certainly welcome to go back if folks are interested. So just thought I'd bring that up.
Well, I think that's something that we can do. Brian, I know you often are willing to lead it. Would you have a time and day available?
Well, I was thinking May 8th. That's Saturday before Mother's Day. I would be available then. So they open at about 9:30. So if we're interested, as in past years, I didn't get to see Carl, but anyway, Carl has recommended that we park along the east side of the building, back where the trucks are, just so that the customers, the paying customers, have more space and it's more convenient for them. So I guess I would propose for discussion Saturday, May 8th. They open at 9:30 in the morning. So I would propose that for discussion.
How's that?
Me.
Yep, that would work for me.
Good for me.
Okay, then that can be a go.
Yeah, it was today. The flowers, are in the early stages, but by that point, by Mother's Day weekend, they've been, the flowers have been looking really good at that point. So it ought to be a good day for us. Yeah, for people who are interested, they're having they do the train thing once a year, and they're doing that the Saturday before. So if you're interested in the train display that Carl puts on, that will be May 1st, I believe. FYI. And then also, if we have a few moments, we want to talk about June. We were talking about a zoo trip. And I think we had originally talked about June 5th. At least I had that down on my calendar. Saturday, June 5th. I proposed that for the zoo trip. Hopefully we get in at that point before the summer crowds, before the vacation crowds hit. They've been very busy. I try to get in there a couple days over the past 2 weeks, and cars been backed out, on the ramp on 41 and backed out to Highway 100 on Blue Mound. So I don't know what it's going to be like this summer. but just a lot of interest in the zoo now that they're open. And so they open at 9:30. At least that's what they're, I don't know for sure. Right now, they're just publishing their dates through May. Nothing published for June, but in May, they open at 9:30. We could talk more about that at the next meeting. Then Jane, you had asked me back in the planning meeting if I might do a little talk about some photography tips. You know, I could do that for a few moments if we have time, and then just do an overview of the zoo of the newer areas that have opened up that people can highlight. I could do
Yeah,
that.
that sounds good. I was just gonna see if I can find my notes for when we. In June, we were going to do the member image review. And May, we were gonna do waterfalls up north. I think Jeff was doing that in May.
Ken and I are doing that in May.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, it's that's fine.
He could do tips and hints for it in May if you
Yeah,
wanted.
I'd be doing about 5, you know, no more than 10 minutes, 5, 6, 7
Yeah.
minutes.
Why don't you put him in for tips and hints? We can
Helen
shove
was
mine
thinking
off to-
about Photoshop
I-
and Lightroom on the iPad.
Right, but that can go anytime because not a lot of people are working on the iPad right now. This was more of a, you know, what you could possibly do. So I can always switch that, but if we're going to be doing a zoo thing, it might be better to have information regarding that prior to. I can switch mine to any time. I don't mind that. So that's all right, Jane. I'm willing to move.
All right, Brian. May, and you're gonna talk about zoo things and Shady Lane things and, okay.
Jeff, what were you gonna do tonight for tips and hints?
It was just new stuff in Photoshop, but there wasn't that much to talk about. So
And that's another one that can probably.
that's one that can be done anytime. So
Yeah,
not
okay.
a problem.
So you and I can duke it out sometime, then maybe about which is
Sure.
is more relevant or not. Okay, works for me.
And then I do also have that reminder about our July all-member show that we have. The theme this year is, you know, around your neighborhood, around your house, and I'm looking for like 8 images from people, JPEG. And
By what date?
well, let's do you know, like May 15th at the latest.
So
Okay.
Jane, how are we defining the scope of that? You know, the newsletter says around the house, if I remember right. So, but you're opening it up a little bit more, right?
Well, you know, we're not looking for you to have to show your travel images from around the world, but around your neighborhood where you can walk to or that you regularly go to. You know, if you want to do your grocery store or your pharmacy.
Okay, so it's more than just your house. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Might want to clarify in the newsletter then.
You know, I'm always open. You know,
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, I'm always open to whatever you send. That's what I put in. So
it's around your house, not necessarily
around your neighborhood, I think is what we
Yeah.
actually had said, around your neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah. And we all have that. We all have around our neighborhood.
I'll change it to neighborhood for the next newsletter.
Okay, okay.
That should be clear.
Just as a heads up for those interested, this weekend is the Out of Chicago live conference. It's a virtual conference. It's pretty much most of Friday, all day Saturday, most of Sunday. It's $300. I did last year. That was the first year they did a virtual conference. It was really well done. It's a lot of webinars, probably very similar to what we're going to go and do here in a second, that type of setup. But there's also image critiques that you can end up doing, and different types of photo challenges, things like that, which you end up getting critiqued on things. So big wide range of photographers. I would recommend checking out if you're looking for something like that. It's Out of Chicago Live is what it's called.
And Ian, do they break that up that you could just choose to do one or two things for a smaller price?
Full conference. You get out of that full conference, you get a year's worth of access to all the recordings.
Okay,
It is a full package.
okay.
Just figured I'd mention that since it's coming up in 3 days.
Well, we probably should end this one so everybody can get started on the next one.
Okay.
Everybody hopefully signed up. And we'll see you at 8 o'clock at the Luminar. Now, you'll just be able to watch. The only one that's on the panel is the gal that's talking and I guess myself. So,
Okay.
But you can ask questions in the Q&A and in the chat. So.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you for setting it up, and we'll see everybody May 4th.
Okay. See you in a little bit.
Bye.
Yeah.